Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Man, my auntie passed last night. This is a sad life. I'm trying to get my cash.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. I am back with some astrological information. If you're new to the channel, hit that like button, hit that share button, hit the subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. But today we're going to be talking about how Pluto in Aquarius is acclimated to the modalities of genetical upgrades that sends the activation to the neural synapses that activates the God particle, which is the neuroendocrine transducer that creates a hyperproduction of neurons in the brain that's activated by the ASPM gene and the microphilian gene that connects you to the space-time continuum. So Pluto in Aquarius is the inception point of the true Great Awakening. So you're going to have full disclosure about the fallacies of the government, and you're going to have full disclosure about extraterrestrials. So as the planet is going through a metamorphic cosmic shift, this is the end of the three-dimensional paradigm as you know it, because the energy of Pluto in Aquarius creates a new renaissance for the context of humanity. So get your pens and papers out. We got a lot of information to go over, right? So first, we're going to start out with an illustration, a publication of the Pluto transits, right? So Pluto in Aquarius is the personification of metamorphosis, which is also the foundation of a death and a rebirth, right? So during this time period, a lot of people are going to have a lot of problems with sexuality, and they're going to have a lot of problems with financial issues, right? Which is why during this time, you know, we're going through an economic crisis, right? So during this time, you're going to be feeling injured, victimized, and you're going to be entitled to have things be different, right? So this is going to be the transmutation process by going from an old paradigm shift to a new paradigm shift, right? So now, when you look at this Ascension chart that's based on the age of Aquarius, or this publication, so it basically means that the new age, we break free from centuries of false doctrines that was acclimated to the education system, right? You got fake history, you know, fake governmental systems, you know, fake monotheistic spiritual systems. All these things is basically connected to the three-dimensional illusions that kept humanity in a state of subjugation, right? So this is the energy that's coming to the planet, right, during March 23rd, when you had the open vortex. This is the energy that's going to cause the true Great Awakening on the planet, right? You're going to have a big shift in consciousness, right? So now when you look at it from that perspective, that is the precursor to a bridge of consciousness, unity consciousness, which creates super consciousness, which is acclimated to hyper consciousness. And that's basically a segue to ultra consciousness, right? So everything is based on the frequency of unconditional love, where you have non-judgment, because you can't go into the fourth and the fifth dimensions being a hater. You know, if you're not balanced mentally and spiritually, you know, you're not going to make it, right? Because planet Earth, it doesn't see skin color. It reads frequency and vibrations. So if your frequency and your vibration is not harmonizing with the planet, you can be decimated. Kind of like the movie Predator. When he was scoping out his victims, he didn't see skin color. Only thing that he saw was frequency, vibration, and the aura of the people that he was killing on the planet. So if you're a parasitical entity to the planet, you're not going to make it to the higher dimensions, because the energy of Pluto in Aquarius is basically ascending the planet up, right? Because the best way to look at it is like planet Earth is like a classic car, and the sun is basically the electrical charge of the planet, which is the battery, right? So when you have these colossal coronal mass ejections, these solar transmissions that's hitting the planet, that is basically jump starting the planet. It's revving up the planet to where it speeds up in vibration. So when the planet speeds up in vibration, you're supposed to be harmonizing with the planet, because you have a solar plex, just like how the sun or our planet Earth has a soul inside the planet as well, right? The planet Earth basically has a solar plex. So your frequency, your vibration has to be harmonizing with the planet in order to make it to the higher dimensions, right? Because like I said, you cannot make it to the fourth and the fifth dimensions being a hater. Because when you're a hater, that basically puts an encryption on your heart chakra, because that encryption steals electrons from the heart chakra because it creates particles of sodium atoms, and those particles of sodium atoms basically dematerializes your molecular structure, right? So now, when you look at it from this perspective, from a dietary standpoint, right? When you eat meat, right, which I know a lot of people are very acclimated to the westernized concept of a dietary system. A lot of us can't get away from chicken and things of that nature. But what you got to understand is that eating meat, that vibration in itself is not acclimated to the higher dimensions, right? Because over a time period, meat transmutes over into a form of the frequency of alcohol, right? So it keeps you at a low vibrational state. So this is not a time to where you be going up to get seconds and thirds and plates. You need to be eating in small portions, meaning that you need to be eating in small increments, because as the planet speeds up in vibration, that creates a higher density level on the planet, meaning that everything is going to be heavy. So you want to be a light body, because the density of the genetically modified foods that have these nanotechnologies and these metals inside the foods, right? That keeps you bound on the three-dimensional frequency to where you cannot ascend when that fourth dimensional vortex opens up on March 23rd, right? So now, when you look at this chart right here, when you look at the precession of the equinox, right, you're going from the Iron Age, and the Iron Age was acclimated to mankind, which is the Clay Age, right? So you transmuting from the age of a Pisces and going into the Bronze Age, which is the precursor to silver and gold and things of that nature. Because when you're talking about the end of an age, the end of the age of a Pisces, you're basically talking about the end of mankind, because mankind is a kind of a man that was genetically spliced into existence during the 6,000 year purification period, because their time is up. So that's why you're having a transmutation of power of everything on the planet. Everything has to revert back into the frequency of nature, right? So now, this is where you detach from the old systems, right? So like I said, everything on the planet is starting to raise up in vibration. So when you understand the law of correspondence, as above, so below. Now I'm going to be showing you a video of the atmosphere basically dematerializing, and you have these solar flares and these coronal mass ejections opening up the vortex to where you have the Aquarian energy hitting the planet. So this is a video of fish that fell from the sky, right? This is a video. These are all the fish that fell from the galactic sky, because we have an ocean on our planet and you have an ocean above us, through the law of correspondence, as above, so below, right? So like I said, everything is transmutating. So when you have a pole shift that's taking place, right, this is where you're going to have a lot of times, you're going to have weather modification, because the weather modification is basically connected to the fact that the moon is a frequency modification weapon that basically controls the weather. And since you have these solar transmissions that's hitting the planet, it's combating the lunar energy that was acclimated to the three-dimensional paradigm under the Piscean energy. So now we under the age of Aquarius. Everything is galvanized by the frequency of the sun, which is causing a lot of a metamorphic shift of the weather and everything on this planet. So this is why you have California right now. They getting a lot of snow, they getting a lot of flooding, a lot of everything. So I'm going to show you this video.
Snow we got. Looks like our neighbors maybe hired someone to start cleaning off the roof, hopefully.
This is in California.
Deep right there.
California.
I'm not going to go that deep.
Satellite images show new atmospheric river storm hit California.
Now, let me interject for a second. I know you've seen the movie. It's an old movie. You haven't watched it. It's called Escape from LA. And it's basically a post-apocalyptic movie. And it shows you how the great majority of LA is basically underneath the water. So like I said, as the planet is transitioning over from a Saturn moon matrix standpoint over to the age of Aquarius, which is galvanized by the frequency of the sun is basically causing all the weather modification on the planet, right? And the weather modification is going to be the precursor to earthquakes. It's going to be the precursor to hurricanes, all types of, weird weather activity on the planet, right? Because I told you, planet Earth is basically like an old car that hasn't been running, because this is why they extract all the oil out of the planet, right? When you extract oil out of the planet doesn't work. So since the planet is getting a lot of solar transmission, it's starting to rev up the planet. It's starting going through a revitalization process. So the revitalization process is the planet waking back up due to the dormant cryogenic stage that was created by the Saturn Moon Matrix.
This is what a flash flood emergency looks like. This is the town of Springville. You can see homes being threatened by the now mighty Snowy River. This river, according to locals, is never, ever like this. Very, very small, calm, placid. And now you can see it's just a raging torrent. The rain really started to hit here last night. And what's compounding it, it's not just the rain, it's the snowmelt. We're right in the foothills leading up to near where Sequoia National Park, Kings Canyon, etc. So folks are out here looking at something they've never seen before.
Like I said in my earlier videos, we're running out of places to put the snow.
Oh, this is fucking horrible.
So this, what you just seen, is only, the beginning of what is to come. All types of weird weather anomalies is going to be taking place, right? All types of stuff that's going to be taking place. So now, when you understand that construct of it, what you got to understand is that, this is why they're giving us, the reality of extraterrestrials, because like I said, the dematerialization of the planet reverting back into its original state due to the atmospheric changes. What's happening is you have Nibiru, which is the mothership in our atmosphere, right? So Nibiru is basically terraforming the planet back into its original state, right? So this is why when you look at this publication right here, it says that the Pentagon UFO chief says alien mothership is in our solar system possible, right? So now it says extraterrestrial motherships visiting the planets in our solar system. Artificial interstellar object releases small probes, an operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA missions, right? So this is a picture that somebody sent me on Instagram, right? So when you look at this, this is a direct emulation of planet Nibiru, or the mothership, because the mothership is basically a rogue planet that comes back and circumnavigates back into our solar system every 3,600 years, right? And then when you look at 3,600, 3 and 6 is a personification of 9. 9 ether. 9 ether is terraforming the planet Earth. So now I'm going to show you this. That basically is equivalent to the picture to the person that sent me on Instagram, right? So this is planet Nibiru. This is the mothership that they've been talking about. So, they have to give you the truth. Like I said, the age of Aquarius is based on the age of declassifying old esoteric information that's been hidden away from humanity, right? So, like I said, the mothership. Now I'm going to show you this video.
Henry Mitchell, thanks. In 60 seconds, the new draft report on UFOs. The Pentagon's expert warning about a possible mothership coming close to Earth. Stay with us.
He said, worried about a possible mothership coming close to Earth, right? So this is not a conspiracy. They got to give you the truth, whether it's up to you to have the mental and spiritual fortitude to pass it off as a conspiracy theory, or is this a real thing that's going to be taking place, right? Because like I said, when you understand everything from a theological concept, right? So like I said, when you have the mothership in our atmosphere, that is basically going to be the precursor to a great solar flash or the Carrington event, or when you're talking about wormwood in the Bible. So when you read this passage right here of Corinthians 15:52, right, it says, "In a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet, for the last trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable and will be changed." So everything is going through a revitalization process due to the frequency of the sun that's being activated by the mothership, which is planet Nibiru, right? This is what's taking place. So it's not a conspiracy because it's all recorded all throughout ancient theological context, right? And they put it in the news. So now this is Dr. York talking about the mothership. Free Dr. York, free the master teacher. But listen to this.
They sent Elijah Muhammad. What's the first thing Farrakhan said when he came back from Libya? "I saw the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in a UFO." Right? That's what Farrakhan taught. That he saw the messenger in a UFO. What did the messenger teach? There's a mothership, a mother plane. And all of them are teaching the same thing I'm teaching all the ones that know. The ones who know are talking to you about extraterrestrials. And are y'all listening to the extraterrestrials? No. Are y'all listening to Minister Louis Farrakhan? No. Did you listen to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? No.
So like I said, this is a real thing. So like I said, the mothership is also the personification of the will. And even when you go to the book of Enoch, it tells you that the Elohim came to planet Earth in their houses, right? What is their house basically? It's a spaceship. They didn't come down in no brick mansion. So with everything taking place right now, you know, this is why Joe Biden put out this excerpt. You know, he had to put this, you know, this message out because, like I said, they cannot hide the truth under the age of Aquarius. They can't hide it. They got to give it to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Joint Forces, I am here today to inform you that a number of unidentified flying objects have appeared over many parts of our country. Though their exact origin remains to be fully determined, the FBI has informed me that it is very likely that these are visitors of extraterrestrial nature. I advise the American people to remain calm, not fall into panic, and wait for further announcements. We shall overcome this threat with confidence and vigilance. May God protect our souls.
Yeah, okay. But like I said, this is a reality. They got to put it in the public domain. But it's up to you to have the mental and spiritual fortitude to decipher if is it the mothership or is that Project Bluebeam, right? It's up to you. So like I said, they know that the planet is speeding up in vibration. So when the planet speeds up in vibration, right, they got to keep you acclimated to an old paradigm. So that's why during the transmutation process, as you having a pole shift, it's going to activate a form of pestilence, right? And that form of pestilence is going to spark this new form of a disease called SEERS, right? Which is severe intravirus epidemic respiratory syndrome. So when I took out the word intravirus and I looked it up, it looks just like the hexahedron cube that sits on the top of Saturn, or what you call Metatron's cube, because the cube is basically the personification that it keeps you mentally subjugated into a certain construct to where you cannot think outside the box. It basically puts an encryption on your mental capacity, right? So now when you look at that, this is the introvirus illustration. Now when you look at the top of Saturn, right? Because when this new form of pestilence hits the planet, right, in order for you to combat that so-called disease or pestilence, they got to hit you with something. They got to hit you with the draconian juice. They got to hit you with the Jabberwocky. So when they hit you with it, they actually injecting psychotronic nanotechnology inside your molecular structure to where you cannot ascend on the planet. Because like I told you, when a planet speeds up in vibration, that the density on the planet gets heavier. So if you have metals inside your molecular structure, it keeps you bound on the three-dimensional frequency, also connecting you to the fact that you're connected to a new mental construct that's based on nanogenetic mind control, which puts a STEMO receiver inside your brain capacity that uploads your thoughts on a cyber cloud that's acclimated to the 15-minute smart cities that they're basically projecting out to the public right now. So this is why you're having a lot of train derailments. So like I said, when I took out the word introvirus that was acclimated to the word seers, right? Because they know that during this time period, we're going to have a lot of seers, meaning that your metaphysical abilities is going to kick in, meaning that you're going to have a lot of prophets, right? A lot of people are going to be very clairvoyant, where you're going to activate those telepathic abilities, right? Psychometry. This is where those these abilities is going to come online. So in order to combat that energy, to combat your power, they got to hit you with the draconian juice, right? They got to hit you with the Jabberwocky, right? So that's why I said that so what they put inside of you is acclimated to Saturn, to where you cannot think for yourself, right? They want to keep you in a 15-minute smart city. And that 15-minute smart city is also an emulation of a cube. They got you operating on a square. They don't want you operating on a circle. They don't want you operating on 360 degrees of spiritual knowledge. That's the problem. So like I said, it's not a coincidence. So now, when you look at it from this perspective, hexahedron, hexagon, right? Hexahedron cube on Saturn. The hex is basically the personification of dark witchcraft, right? Because when you put a hex on somebody, it basically is a supernatural power causing unpleasant things to happen to them, right? So when you get that so-called, you know what, inside your molecular structure, it puts an encryption on the heart chakra and it puts an encryption on your mental capacity, right? To where you cannot think outside the box, to where you're introduced into a new matrix system. This is what's going on. And did nobody find that, you know, I'm the first one that gave you that information, that the introvirus symbol is an emulation of the hexahedron Metatron's cube that sits on the top of Saturn, to where it keeps you boxed in a cube on a mental and spiritual standpoint, right? So now, with that being said, so since everything is taking place, this is where the precursor of the smart cities that's going to be activated, hold on, is that FEMA has to be activated. And the only way FEMA can be activated is if you have, how can I say it? The planet is in a state of destabilization, right? And when the planet is in a state of destabilization, that means that you have controlled resources, meaning that the water is going to be controlled, the food is going to be controlled, so much to the point where you got to go to FEMA camps in order to reap the benefits to get your resources from the government, right? So now FEMA will be activated. This is why they activating FEMA, because all the Walmarts are basically being closed, right? I'm gonna show you this video. It speaks for itself.
Doors are closing at the only 2 Portland Walmarts, and hundreds of customers are left finding a new place to shop.
A Milwaukee Walmart closing its doors. The store on Silver Spring near Appleton shutting down next month.
Shocker tonight for suburban shoppers. Walmart announcing it's closing 3 stores.
The stores to be closed are spread across the area from north to south in Lincolnwood, Plainfield, and Homewood.
It's kind of crazy. You don't hear things like Walmart closing. Walmart.
There have been rules.
Because like I said, it's a mirror flip when you look at Walmart, Mart Law. So like I said, the Walmarts closing are basically going to be the station points for the FEMA camp centers. That's also going to be conducive to the 15-minute smart cities. I'm going to keep the video playing.
That make it not something that the police are going to prosecute, or that the criminals won't be prosecuted below certain levels. Does that matter?
If that's not corrected over time, prices will be higher and or stores will close.
A representative for the store saying this decision was not made lightly and was reached only after a thorough review process, adding that the company has 5,000 stores across the U.S. and some do not meet their financial expectations.
Walmart says they're closing both Portland locations because they were not meeting financial expectations.
Doors are closed.
So like I said, everything is taking place. They're closing them down for a reason, because they're trying to destabilize the country, right? because they know that we on the brink of an economic crash, right? So when you understand it from that standpoint, hold on. We're going through an economic crash. So I'm gonna show you this video of this guy who works in the ports, in these ports in New Jersey and New York. And the video speaks for itself.
I'm going to show you this. This is messed up. Real messed up. This is the busiest port, PNCT. It's usually the most backed up. It's a Friday. See all the machines? I feel bad for the longshoremen. I feel bad for everybody. That's how many longshoremen are home. Every train behind me from PNCT to 64 to 8 p.m. It's bad, guys. They're up. They are up. The recession is full blown coming. I pray for the best. I pray for everybody, and I pray that we all get through this, man. This is tough. This is tough.
So like I said, the age of Aquarius is a new energy that's coming to the planet. Meaning that everything was galvanized by the age of a Pisces that was created by mankind has to be decimated. So their financial system has to crash, right? So they can introduce a new world order system that's acclimated to a new matrix system, but it's not going to work. I'm going to show you another video. It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up, man.
Federal Reserve knows the dollar is finished. I mean, honest to God, if I could speak about maybe something I've heard at some point, maybe from somebody reputable, maybe not, you never know. I'm just going to throw something out there that I heard. That the BRIC nations want off the dollar, and they're going to do it August 1st of this year. So they have their own version of the SWIFT system, an international payment system that will run everything but the dollar. And joining that list is Saudi Arabia. This is big. China's on that list. Russia's on that list. Brazil is on that list. You know, Thailand's on that list. There's a lot of countries that are tired of the dollar and they want off.
It's time to wake up. It's time to wake up. You know, where is your pastors, you know, giving you this type of information? You know what I'm saying? That's because they signed that Skull and Bones 501c3 contract. And also, let's not negate the fact that 322 of the Skull and Bones sigil is acclimated to March 22nd, which is right before Pluto enters Aquarius on March 23rd. We can't forget that. So now this is why when you look at this video right here, it talks about how Silicon Valley, which is the largest bank failure in less than a decade, right?
Have now taken over the bank. They are now also saying, by the way, that in order to protect insured depositors, the FDIC has created a vehicle, a separate bank associated with the FDIC, run by the FDIC, that will take over all the assets at Silicon Valley Bank. And this is important, again, and this speaks to the risk management of the government and the regulators on this front. They say that all insured depositors will have full access to their fully insured deposits no later than this coming Monday morning, March 13th. If you had uninsured.
So like I said, it's all, the house of cards is falling down, man. Once again, Illuminati. I'm on to you. I'm on to you. It's time to wake up, man. So, where is that at? So, like I said, the financial system crashing is the precursor to smart cities. Like I said, everything they want you operating on a square. So when you have a financial crash, right, everything is going to be kind of like Hunger Games. Everything is going to be stationed off in increments and zones, right? You're going to be in one zone. One city is going to be another zone. And it's all going to be based on artificial intelligence. So this is your foundation of a technocracy by merging humans with cybernetics, right? Transhumanism, right? Because like I said, it's all based on nanogenetic mind control. So they want to put a stemma receiver inside your cerebral capacity to where they can upload your thoughts on the cyber cloud to where they can control what you think. So during this time period, you know, or in the future, in the near future, it's going to be against the law for you to think for yourself. Because like I said, they don't want you to think outside the box. They want to keep you operating on the square, right? They want to keep you acclimated to that Piscean Saturn energy. So this is the 15-minute smart city I was talking about. This is happening in China right now. So everything is based on a facial scan recognition. Just watch the video.
让我们上军事化管理，先来买个菜。原来是
不用疑惑，我来给你们解答这个问题。我现在在外面，然后我进去就正常刷脸就可以了。你进来了吗？我真的进来了，然后没有人管我。现在看，再绕出去。以前哪敢呢？
Also, let me interject again for a second. When you have these nanogenetic mind control technologies inside your body that's connected to the smart cities, what happens is, like I said, it's not going to work, because when you have that great solar flash, that's basically going to dematerialize everything that's connected to the electrical grid. That's why you're having a lot of plane crashes. Like I said, stay off them planes, right? So everything that's connected to the electrical grid, and if you have the technology inside your body, right, nanogenetic mind control, right, it's basically going to dematerialize the two frontal lobes of the brain to where it takes away your cognitive abilities, right? So this creates a form of zombification. I already put a zombie video out talking about this. So like I said, when you have a malfunction of technology, you're going to have a malfunction of humans on a planet that has the technology inside their body, right? So this is why there's a commercial. It's on one of my old videos. There's a commercial when everybody on the planet, when the electrical grid system shuts down, everybody who basically has technology inside their molecular structure, they fall with the system. So that's where you get your Deagle publication when they're talking about 75% of the planet is going to be decimated of the population. So this is how you engineer a great reset, by resetting humanity that's connected to technology. So like I said, this is another trick, another form of technology that's propagated by the jealous god Enlil and his minions, who are the part of the Canaanite bloodline. I'm gonna keep it going.
不行，迫不及待了。这是又一个展示。
Look at that facial scan.
又突出了，这回是了吧？这个能出来。能过来上个公厕，再可以人脸识别扫码。请正式服务。直接出嘴。 现在出门上厕所都不用带。
Look how much toilet paper. Look how much toilet paper they give you. That's all you get. So I feel sorry for all the thick women out there. A lot of y'all thick women, y'all gotta go, use the bathroom, do number 2 or whatever. That is not enough toilet paper for all that booty. I'm telling you. I'm talking about the you know what I'm saying, the premium BBWs. That's not enough toilet paper, bro. Like this, like I said, everything is going to be based on minimalism, right? Because they want to, like I said, they want to condense the resources down. But like I said, man, this is crazy. That's how much toilet paper you get.
请面向屏幕开始刷脸，请确认支付。
So like I said, this video is connecting all the dots for you. This is what, all those train derailments, because of where you have those train derailments, that is where they're going to push those smart cities in those time zones. And it's, eventually over time, because Pluto in Aquarius, America is going to be facing judgment. So as the planet is going through a terraforming process, by going from a state of calamity, this is when they're going to introduce everything. Because like I said, FEMA is activated, which is also connected to martial law, is when you have mass calamity and a crisis on the planet. And that's going to be propagated by the energy of Pluto coming into Aquarius, right? But like I said, this is also the exposure of government, right? So it's not also, you know, conducive to nature and technology and things of that nature. It's also connected to the political system. So the people who's been running the planet, they're being judged too. Because I told you there's no such thing as a democracy. Democracy is demonic rulership, right? Because krasi means chronos, and chronos is acclimated to time. Time is acclimated to the Saturn Moon matrix, meaning that everything that's connected to their system is artificial. So you have an artificial government with an artificial leader who is Joe Biden, who is basically being impeached for the abuse of power, right? So these are real publications, right? He's being impeached for abuse of power by enabling bribery and high crimes and misdemeanors, right? So like I said, everything that's artificial doesn't go into the higher dimensions. Everything that was artificial, like the de facto corporation, which is connected to a corporation, meaning that you're a corpse, an artificial person, right? So like I said, when you under these fictitious misnomer nomenclature titles, that basically disconnects you from natural law, right? Which is connected to the Declaration of Human Rights. You don't reap the benefits of that. So this, like I said, a naturalized citizen is acclimated to the artificial construct of democracy. When you have nationalization, that means that you're indigenous to the planet. And I'm going to show you a video how you have the guys basically putting out the information in the public domain, talking about how the planet basically belongs to the indigenous people, because the indigenous people is acclimated to natural law, and natural law is galvanized by a republic, and a republic moves on the frequency of the sun that's galvanized by the Aquarian cycle, right? Which is the last sun cycle, because this is the last reincarnation phase of the precession of the equinox, right? So like I said, this is basically the dichotomy of natural law and the artificial law, right? So if you will, screenshot this. So everything that's on the left, natural, belongs on the frequency of Mother Nature that's conducive to the Aquarian age, which is a sun cycle. Everything conducive to the right is the personification of the de facto corporation that's controlled by democracy, that was created under the Piscean age, right? And the Piscean age was ruled by Saturn and the moon, the holographic reality, the third dimension. All right. So like I said, the left side, fourth and fifth dimensional energies. Right side is galvanized by the three-dimensional energy. All this stuff that was created by the artificial government doesn't work in the higher dimensions. That is the diametrical difference between natural law and artificial law. It's time to wake up. So now when you look at this video here, he's telling you everything that I basically just said, but you just got to look at it. You know, he didn't say it verbatim, but like I said, everything has got to go back into its original state, especially if you're indigenous to the land. You got to know who you are. You got to know your history.
Current American education states African Americans were brought to America as slaves from Africa, which is simply not true. They are American indigenous, not descendants of Africans. As they say, the truth is stranger than fiction. Although this fact isn't spoken of openly, it's not a secret. However, with programming such as Roots, 12 Years a Slave, The African American Story, and the Book of Negroes, is it any wonder why so many African Americans are confused? We won't address all the misleading DNA tests being provided to connect African Americans to Africa. So the argument is, Do they continue identifying as African Americans, which is a fake identity for them, or embrace being identified as Indigenous Americans?
Are there any consequences of choosing one identity over the other?
William, that's a good question. According to African Americans Ain't Africans Facebook forum, identifying as African American is to quietly relinquish ancestral connections to America, connections that go back hundreds of thousands of years. Curious story, but one appropriate for February, which is Black History Month in the United States.
See, like I said, it's time to wake up. You are not black, right? You know what I'm saying? You are not black. Because like I said, the word black basically puts an encryption on your sovereign capacity, right? When you call yourself black, that's acclimated to the civil mortuus principles, meaning that you are civilly dead in the eyes of law. You are not black people. You are not African American. How can you be from two different places? You didn't come here on a boat from Africa. They only have the artifacts and the relics that proves that. And plus, when you look at it from a scientific level, right? When you have from Africa to America, that's a 4-month voyage. So when you have all these slaves on a boat and they're defecating on each other, and they're not getting any food, they're not getting any type of resources, their whole lymphatic system was basically shut down. So more than half of your slaves on that boat will actually die. So like I said, you did not come from Africa. You already had indigenous people here on this land who are the real Native Americans that's connected to the Washita, the Yamasee, the Choctaw, many different tribes, right? The Seminole, which when you break down the etymology of it means fugitive slave. All these tribes is acclimated to the Mers or the Olmecs or the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Incas and the Olmecs. We are connected to these bloodlines, right? Because America is the oldest geographical landmass on the planet, and it was actually more civilized and everything way before Egypt and where Africa and everything of that nature. Because the pyramids over here in the Americas is older than the ones in Africa. Facts. Just you know what I'm saying? You got to do your own due diligence and look up these artifacts, right? So like I said, this is why they got to give you the truth. They got to give you the truth. So this last video, like I said, the planet is terraforming. Pluto in Aquarius, that energy is causing an open vortex on this planet to where you have, authentic intrinsic solar radiation that's hitting the planet. These coronal mass ejections is basically cause a malfunction to everything that's connected to the electrical grid. So when you have airplanes in our atmosphere, that is going to cause a lot of trouble when you try to travel state to state or country to country, right? So like I said, I told y'all to stay off the airplanes. Y'all don't want to believe me. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna play the video.
Those midair scares on 2 separate flights, one taking off from Texas, hitting severe turbulence over Tennessee. Look at the images hitting during dinner service, trays and glass all up and down the aisle there. Reports that one of the flight attendants hit the cabin ceiling. Several passengers then taken to the hospital after making an emergency landing. And at a separate flight out of Dallas, that flight was diverted after a fire on board. You see the pictures there in the overhead compartment. And again, this time, a battery was to blame. ABC's Gio Benitez covers aviation for us.
Tonight, passengers on a Lufthansa plane from Austin, Texas to Frankfurt, Germany, shaken by violent turbulence mid-flight, describing that terrifying moment.
All of a sudden, we lifted up, and then we started dropping down really fast. It felt like about 5 seconds of free fall.
Susan Zimmerman among the 174 passengers on board.
While it was happening, plates were up in the ceiling, glass was up in the ceiling, my bag was flown back behind me.
Lufthansa Flight 460 in the middle of dinner service on Wednesday night when the FAA says the aircraft hit severe turbulence at 37,000 feet over Tennessee.
At times, the Airbus A230 experienced extreme turbulence.
The plane diverting safely to Washington's Dulles Airport. Lufthansa says 7 passengers suffered minor.
Like I said, man, it's not a coincidence. Stay off the airplanes. Like I said, if you still acclimated to that 3-dimensional connection, talking about you want to go on trips and all this other stuff, you want to live your life. Like I said, man, that's on you. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting the information out in public domain. You shouldn't be traveling. If you're going to at least travel, at least, you know what I'm saying, go on Not even on the train. You can't even take a train now. But at least, you know what I'm saying, travel by, car, right? So like I said, man, this is a time where you need to be reaping the benefits of balance. You need to be in a balanced state in order to take on these fourth and fifth dimensional energies that's hitting the planet, because the planet is about to go through a judgment process, right? So everything that was conducive to the old paradigm is basically going to be decimated. So you got to get away from these old constructs. You got to get away from the religion. You got to get away from the concept of politics. You got to get away from the ideologies of everything that was propagated by Eurocentric and Westernized history, right? Because everything is going to be changing. Because they lied to you for a reason just to get up to this point. They got to give you the truth. A lot of people ain't going to know how to handle the truth. A lot of people don't even know what the hell is going on right now. But like I said, it's up to you to have the mental and the spiritual fortitude in order to reap the benefits of ascension, right? So like I said, a lot of chosen ones during this time period, you're going to be getting attacked, right? Because a lot of people who are connected to the old paradigm, they want to pull you back to that paradigm because they know that you have this frequency of an awakening on you and it's going to disrupt their demons, right? So the more you level up mentally and spiritually, the more you're going to have demons trying to pull you right back down. And these are the ones that's connected to politics, history, fake history, all this stuff that was created by the beast, right? So they want to keep you on a low level just like them. So like I said, a lot of your so-called friends who are associates, your frenemies, your family members, all these people are going to try to pull you right back down. They don't want you ascend off the planet, right? They don't want you to harmonize with nature. You see what I'm saying? Because like I said, they are stuck in their old ways, right? They have a stagnant energy. They have a stagnant frequency. Because like I said, their purpose was to bring you back on this planet in a form of incarnation. They were reincarnated to keep the three-dimensional illusion going. So that's the diametrical difference between you and your family members and your friends, or just people around you who are gang stalking you, right? So, a lot of people who, made fun of you, talking about you a conspiracy theorist and things of that nature, they finna get a great awakening, you know what I'm saying, during this time period. So, like I said, you got to look at the 7-year tribulation video I put out. From 2023 to 2030, you're going to see a lot. It's going to get weirder, right? Everything on this planet is about to get super strange. So much to the point you're going to be like, man, what is going on? And to the point where this is going to be the topic of discussion everywhere you go. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason that is going to happen is because they're going to find out that these so-called conspiracy theorists or the people who you was called crazy or weird, the chosen ones, they're going to find out that you was right. And you know what I'm saying? And so much to the point they're going to attack you and you're going to have to leave them. You got to put them left behind. You got to leave them back in the third dimension, right? So with that being said, get this video out there, utilize this information, spread the knowledge, man. It's very imperative that we get this information out because a lot of people, they don't understand the mechanisms of this new system that they're trying to infiltrate the fourth dimension with. What they're trying to do is, you know what I'm saying, they're trying to combat the energy of the sun cycle with these lunar ideologies, right? A lot of people don't know what's going on. But, you know what I'm saying, this video right here can basically lay out the foundation and the blueprint of what is to come as we go through these 7 years from 2023 to 2030. And like I said, once again, Illuminati, I'm on to you. So like I said, get this video out there. End of transmission.